Great outdoors in Pennsylvania and beyond. Brought to you by the Mariana Outdoorsman Association and by Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. Now, the Great Outdoors with Jason White.
Hello, friends. I'm Jason White. Welcome to the Great Outdoors. Pleasure to be with you today in this cold day here in southwestern Pennsylvania. But not to be dreary on the weather, let's jump into some amazing, I would say, topics and conversations revolving today around agriculture and wildlife. But before I do, I want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. You can join the MOA today at MarianaOutdoors.com. Again, MarianaOutdoors.com. Accepting memberships today. MarianaOutdoors.com. Our office is located at 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. Special thanks to Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds, managed by 10 Mile Creek Outfitters. If you're looking to book a weekend stay, we have amazing lodging and accommodations at our Civil War era lodge, completely furnished. Opportunities for wedding venue, opportunities for corporate events, family get-togethers, parties, baby showers, so on and so forth. Please just let us know. 10mileco.org. In addition to that, 10 Mile Creek Outfitters, again, is always happy to take you on an upland bird hunt, trout fishing trip, wild turkey hunt, wild white-tailed deer hunt. Everything's free range, whether that's on a stream or in a field or in the woods. Absolutely no fences. I just want to reiterate, no fence, no fence, no fence. Fair chase. 10mileco.org, or give us a call at 724-579-0924 for pricing on all of this, these different opportunities. That being said, I want to dive in today and kind of talk about Senate Bill 67, which is being introduced by Senator Dan Laughlin of Erie County. I've talked about this a lot last year. This bill kind of fell through the cracks, and there were some things, I would say, politically that kind of railroaded it. I would say there was some things, missteps along the way by different people, coalitions, etc., that kind of led to its demise. But I think right now the bill is in an extremely good place. There's a tremendous, I would say, positive attitude towards the bill, and I ultimately, end of the day, to keep it short and sweet on my views of it, I think it's going to pass. And what are we going to get out of it? So I want to dive into that a little bit, and I really want to focus on, there's a piece of the bill that expands opportunities for hunters to access private land. I really want to hone in on this particular subject and highlight the need and importance of it. But before I do, I want to go over the bill, some of the key points. So as of right now, there's going to be, obviously, Sunday hunting is the core foundation of it. But some offshooting topics from there. There's going to be some amendments to increase penalties for criminal trespass under Title 34 in the capacities of trapping and hunting penalties. Now, this does not address Title 18 or Title 30, Title 18 being the criminal code. This does not address Title 18 in the capacities of things that clearly, how would I say this? Things that, if somebody's trespassing on your property with quads or UTVs or horseback riding or just miscellaneously coming onto your property, and I don't know, say someone just decides they're going to come on your property and go pick, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But this bill does not address any other instance outside of hunting and trapping. So I just want to be clear about that. Number two, or number 3, I guess I should say. So Sunday hunting's 1, trespass reform 2, under Title 34. Number 3 would be an agricultural requirement to the Board of Commissioners for the Pennsylvania Game Commission. Why is this important? Well, this could be a very long conversation, but to keep it short and sweet, we live in a representative republic. We do not need, how do I say this, unqualified people to be on these boards. We all should want people that are very knowledgeable and experienced and understand the needs of wildlife management, agriculture, the connectivity of everything. You need clearly a well-rounded group of people with good knowledge and experience. I hate to break it to anybody, but these appointments are astronomically political. I can probably have a whole episode just about this particular topic of the interview process, interviewing, how that's then passed along to the governor, how then there's interactions with the Senate. It honestly would make any sportsman or wildlife conservationist probably make your head spin, because if you didn't know it's political, well, it's political. But this is a step in the right direction towards, I would say, reforming the process. This particular piece of the puzzle, when you talk about an agricultural position, it just simply requires that somebody on the board has to have a specific seat, will have to have agricultural background and experience. That doesn't mean that they have to be a member of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. It doesn't mean that they have to be a member of any organization for that matter. It just simply means that their educational and knowledge credentials fulfill that understanding. And I think what's really critical for people to understand is if you do a comparative analysis of property, and I think that what's really interesting is that, so I'm going to give you some compare and contrast here. So when we talk about a representative republic, or we talk about, well, why would you want anybody with agriculture experience? Okay. So I'm going to compare public land to private land in Pennsylvania, okay? State parks, there's over 200,000 acres. State forest, 2.2 million. State game lands, 1.5 million acres. Allegheny National Forest, 500,000 acres. That's all public land. Farms in 2023, and this is just off of a search engine off the internet. Farms in 2023, there was an estimated 49,000 farms in Pennsylvania, totaling 7.1 million acres. Average farm size in Pennsylvania is 145 acres. Now, why is this so very, very critical? Why it is so critical is you're literally comparing 7.1 million acres of farmland. Now, that's farmland. That isn't farmland and private land combined. So, like, there's a lot of people that hunt on properties. Maybe they have a house and they own 50 acres. That doesn't necessarily calculate into this math. So the private land is going to be a much larger number. So I want to hit on that point. So if you compare public land, which is currently sitting at 4.4 million acres, 4.4 million acres of public land, and private land, private farms, just farms, is 7.1 million acres. 7.1. So your farmland compared to public access land, farms are nearly double. Nearly double. And again, that is not calculating into into the math of private land that is not a farm, which there's a lot of people that own land that do not fall under the farm category. So, somebody has 50 acres, like I said, of just a woodlot, and they hunt it. That's not being calculated here. So the 7.1 million number is low in my opinion. If you would add on private lands in addition to. Now, why is this so critical? We're managing wildlife as a statewide resources. And it's clear that we must evaluate and calculate and take into consideration those that are being impacted by these decisions. If we have double the amount of land that's being impacted by wildlife, at least double, in my opinion, at least double. It's well more than double because you're not even calculating housing developments. You're not calculating all lands. Actually, let me do a quick little calculation here. So you're talking farmland is 7.1 million acres in Pennsylvania, and we're saying that the public land is actually approximately just around 4 million. I'm just curious here how many Pennsylvania as a whole is 28.8 million acres. So Pennsylvania as a whole is 28.8 million acres. 4 million approximately is public from that number. So then we're going to say basically out of the entire state of Pennsylvania, 25% of the entire state is farmland. We're going to say that, let's see here. So out of the entire state of Pennsylvania, 25% is farmland, 7% is, based upon my math, 7% is public land, and that means that quantitatively 68% is a combination of private property, roadways, so on and so forth, but not necessarily public access hunting land or not farmland. So again, the numbers that I was saying, if you add it up, the amount of public land in Pennsylvania is actually quantitatively it's a very small amount. But the fact of the matter is we have predominantly managed the resource to tackle that piece of the puzzle. And if you have a knowledge base that's geared at the 7%, well, what about everybody else? So even if you look at it from the 25% aspect, don't you think that realistically 25% of the board, this is just me speaking out loud, shouldn't 25% of the board theoretically have some knowledge? I mean, we're not even talking about 25%. We're talking about one person. So just to give you some understanding, I mean, it's all about education. Do you want political appointees that have no experience on these boards? I mean, I don't think I need to answer that for you. I think most of you can say pretty handily the whole need of expertise on boards is a critical thing. You cannot overlook it. We can't undervalue it. So this is a piece of the puzzle. I do not believe that this is the ultimate solution towards these board appointments. I think that process as a whole needs a major overhaul. I mean, the fact that we're talking about it right now is a step in the right direction. This is a step in the right direction. Somebody having agricultural background, but I ultimately feel the demographics of the board and the way the boards are structured should, in my opinion, be reflective of the census of Pennsylvania. So like I just said, you have public land, you have farms, you have private land. Quantitatively, just like we do with our elected officials, I really believe that there needs to be more of a balance reflective of our system, our election system, our governmental system, to where it's a census-based scenario. And, the fact that right now we're proposing basically that one person be on this board, I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but is it getting us where we need to be? No. Definitely need more reforms, more changes. But, I'll dive into that a lot deeper at another time. But the way we do board appointments, it is honestly lackluster at best. It raises a ton of questions because I'm just talking about one board. Geez Louise. We need to be more cognizant as a society of we take in and trust the Senate and the governor to appoint these people. And I'm not, and please don't think I'm trying to throw anybody under the bus here. It's just I've talked to a lot of people that interviewed for different positions. They were definitely more qualified than the folks that got on to certain positions. And I'm not even talking about Pennsylvania Game Commission. I'm talking about different agencies. And ultimately, the best qualified and most qualified did not get the appointment because of people playing politics. So this is something for everybody to think about, to discuss, to talk about. And, hopefully in the future we can fix it, I would say, on a larger scale to truly address the root of the problem. But again, step in the right direction. So the big topic of the day is the fourth piece of this bill is an expansion of hunter access. Now, hunter access is, for the Pennsylvania Game Commission, it's a very broad topic. Some people see that as a good thing. Some people see it as a bad thing. I kind of want to hone into how this all conceptually happened. But Commissioner Schwalm, which I hope he doesn't care that I say his name on this episode, I must say, is one of the best people I've ever met in the outdoors. So anybody that's a sportsman in Pennsylvania, if you have the opportunity to meet Bob Schwalm and shake his hand, you're a lucky person. I truly believe that. I sincerely believe that. I hope if he hears this, he knows I sincerely mean that to him. He's a wonderful person. He's a terrific commissioner. I've never met somebody that advocates so hard for education in schools, for educating, our youth, for expanding the sport, for saving our culture of the outdoors as a whole. Honestly, he is he's like a gem for the Board of Commissioners, in my opinion. He's top notch. Again, if anybody has the opportunity to talk to him, he's awesome. This idea of this access program, I would give him the bulk of the credit, certainly. Him and I have talked a lot about ways to get more people onto private land, and he really, I would say, ran with this idea. Not only has this idea been of this private access, not only has this been pushed, it's being pushed right now internally within the Game Commission by him and obviously his colleagues on the commission. But, I would say if he was not the first domino, he was one of the first dominoes to topple this idea and to get everything moving. So, certainly, I'm sure if anybody ever has any questions outside of what I'm about to tell you or what you speak to me about, I am sure he would love to talk to you because he is such an outdoor enthusiast and just awesome human being. But I want to dive into this, to try to explain what this hunter access idea is, the benefits of it. So when you get your hunting license, you might be, when you take your first class, you might have been 12 years old. That class, I honestly can barely remember some of the things outside of the difference between a 12 gauge, 20 gauge, safe areas to shoot, where not to shoot, understanding about unloading, going over a fence, yada, 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 the mere basics. There's been so much that people are not taught, whether that's about morals, whether that's taught about ethics. And we're not talking about things that are necessarily laws. We're talking about being kind, human nature. Don't, if you go through a farmer's gate, close it. And understanding why it's important to close the gate. If a gate's closed, when you go through it, make sure you close it again, because if the cattle get out and the cattle get hit by a car, guess what? The farmer's going to get sued. Or farmers don't want litter in their fields because guess what? The animals not only can end up eating it and choking and dying, it could end up, in a stream or a waterway and go onto somebody else's property, and now you're creating the neighbor's problems. Little things, courtesy, just being respectful. The utmost little things are big things. So that was kind of how this all came about, because currently, although I know DMAP and red tags are going to be reformed, and that's a hot topic of discussion right now amongst the Pennsylvania Game Commission. This particular piece of the puzzle was a new idea, and ultimately the Game Commission is implementing this optional Master Hunter certification. Optional. I want to be clear about this. This is optional. And there will be a database that's going to be established to connect landowners with ethical hunters. So you will go and take an optional class or classes, however the Game Commission is going to roll this out. It's completely optional. You're not required to do this. So if you're a hunter that wants to access more farmland, now that does not mean, I want to be clear about this, that does not mean that you're just going to be allowed to go hunt on anybody's farm. That's not what it means. What it means is that farmers will be able to, if farmers are enrolled in basically DMAP programs or the ag tag programs, they're then going to be provided a list of hunters that have went through this program, and then they can reach out and say, hey, I have this many doe tags, love to have you come on my property, and that's, this aims to address issues circulating around crop damage, and it's the whole goal of getting more hunters to come onto private land. It's not about opening up the floodgates. It's about really finding people that are committed to the sport, people that are willing to work with the landowners, people that want to have open dialogues and conversations. And, it's about addressing the needs of the farmers. So this is a great stepping stone. The certification will require hunters to have a clean record of game law violations. I don't know that that's 100% accurate. I thought that they said that it was going to go back like 10 years. I don't want to say that it's a clean. I thought they said something about 10 years was the last I heard. So hold that as a little asterisk next to that, because I'm not sure that's 100% true. Complete enhanced training on hunting ethics, safety, and property respect. The goal here at the end of the day is that farmers have been rather upset with not only opening up their land, but what the problem is that not every hunter, and no disrespect to anybody, but there's just bad apples out there. When you let the whole orchard in, and as the saying goes, a few bad ones can ruin it for everybody. So there's been a lot, I would say thousands and thousands of acres of the public access programs that people have unenrolled their properties because, one, I would say of misconduct or people doing things wrong, opening gates, causing problems, littering, shooting where they shouldn't shoot, which is, something you're supposed to learn when you're 12 years old. But also, these people are coming on these properties and the farmers are saying, hey, I need you to shoot some does, and people are trophy hunting. And don't get me wrong, trophy hunting is a choice. Trophy hunting is an option. But if somebody's allowing you to come onto their private land and they have needs, and their needs require to be fulfilled for you to hunt there, well, that just is what it is. So this is giving, people the option to say, hey, you're allowed to shoot horns, but if you're going to be on my property, I want you to shoot, so many does before, you shoot a buck. That's personal choice. That's not a mandate. That's not anything that's a conveyance that saying that everybody has to do that. That's giving a landowner the rights of their land, how they want to manage it, who they want to allow on their property. But no matter what, there's a lot of farmers out there that would love to have hunters on their land, but they don't have the list. There's no list right now of people that they could call and say, okay, these people went through this program. They're committed about coming out, whether that's potentially even in the summer months, whether that's during the normal seasons. That's ultimately how this is going to be handled. It's going to be a communication thing between the landowners, the hunters, to better convey the needs of how they're handling crop damage, what they're dealing with, so on and so forth. So, again, I want to applaud Commissioner Schwalm and the Board of Commissioners for really pursuing this this idea. I know that, some people aren't big about a pat on the back, but certainly Commissioner Schwalm deserves it. I know this has been a team effort, and I know this is one tool. I want to stress that also, because I've seen some stuff on the internet where people are being a little pessimistic about the idea. Wildlife has to be managed in a multitude of arrays, and this is simply a tool. DMAP and ag tags are a tool. Tools, I should say. So you realistically look at this. This is an idea to get more ethical, qualified, I'm going to say mature and committed hunters that are willing to work with the landowners. And it doesn't exist right now. So this is a positive step in the right direction to connect sportsmen with properties and address agricultural issues. Same thing goes for the needs of the ag tags to be reformed, the DMAPs to be reformed. So you're talking three different options right now that are going to be changed, I would say, this calendar year. That's my guesstimate as of right now. Obviously, that's not final, but as of right now, I would assume by the end of this calendar year that, these three things should pretty well, if they're not implemented in full, I would say that there's going to be a lot of very deep conversations about this hunter access program. Because here's the thing, the Game Commission is already working on this internally. Legislatively, it's going to be part of this Senate Bill 67 package. So it's basically going to be a legislative mandate, a legal mandate. And the ag tags and the DMAP are regulatory, which are not mandated by law, but are something in-house with the Game Commission that are being massaged and amended to address the needs of agriculture. So, there's three tools realistically right now that I foresee on the horizon. I see some other things in the future as well. I'll dive into those at a later time, whether that's culling of deer, involvement with USDA, federal funding. I would also say discussions about temporary and even permanent fencing, and other mechanisms, I would say, to deter wildlife damages. Again, cannot stress enough, this is a tremendous step in the right direction. It's one domino of many that we're going to have to topple to, I would say, manage wildlife, manage the issues of private landowners. I believe that this is a great thing. I've said it from day one. If I knew people took extra classes and we're going to conduct in an ethical manner, when I started doing even deer hunts as an outfitter, the thing about it is it was always amazing to me. Cutting firewood in the winter, graveling roads in the summer, putting up fence, tearing down fence in the summer, planting fields, mixing seed, tree stands, the list goes on and on. And when you look around, whenever there's a lot of sweat equity needed, there's nobody there or there might be one or two people. But then when regular deer season comes and it's time to target horns, all of a sudden it's like everybody pops out of the woodwork. You know, and if you don't manage a farm, it's hard to truly understand. It takes a lot. So, you know, this whole ethics class is about trying to educate people as to the needs of a landowner. There's nothing going to kill you to volunteer your time or tell the landowner, hey, I'll come help chop wood for a day, or I'll help you clean your fence lines for a day, or hey, nothing wrong with volunteering to go out and throw a couple hay bales with a farmer in the middle of the summer. If it gets you access for hunting, well, why not? I'm sure there's people out there who will disagree with me, and that's fine. That's your opinion. But I would say this: if you've never owned a farm, never managed a farm, never leased a farm, you know, until you've done that and you've dealt with the long days, the half days, until you've dealt with those 95, 100 degree and humid summer days when you're, you know, killing yourself in the heat, it's just truly hard to appreciate and respect what people go through to manage just simply a farm. And, you know, I think this ethics class is going to be a tremendous step for everybody. I think it's going to be an eye-opener. I think it's going to be, you know, we'll see. I think it's going to be, it all starts with conversations, right? When you have problems, the definition of insanity is doing the same things and expecting a different result. So I applaud the Pennsylvania Game Commission for, you know, listening over the past year. Yes, would I love all this stuff to get implemented yesterday? Yeah. I come from, you know, coal mining industry, and, you know, that was literally something that was preached all the time was, hey, definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Like, let's fix this and fix it now. And yeah, I have that same mentality, but I also realize Rome wasn't built in a day, and in government land, sometimes we have to have a little bit of patience. And I understand everybody's stripes. That's why I felt it was so important to try to tackle this from different levels, and that's why this hunter access program, along with the ag tags and along with DMAP, we're really kind of hitting it on three levels. In the future, I will be talking about butchering stations. We're going to be talking about transportation of deer, how to utilize, I would say, butchers as voluntary check stations, voluntary QR codes on tags, making everybody kind of streamlining the system. Because whenever we go and do these reforms with ag tags and DMAP, it's going to be very critical that some of these technological things are addressed. Butchers are, you know, paid a fair market, fair valued wage, and just a lot of stuff that's gonna really be a benefit. But please keep your eyes peeled for Senate Bill 67. I would like to thank and applaud the senator for all of his hard work. I know he's worked very hard, along with Senator Rothman, on this bill and on these ideas, and I'm very excited and I'm happy for them to help bring Sunday hunting to Pennsylvania, because we're the only state out of the 50 that has 3 days. Other states have different variations of Sunday hunting, so on and so forth, but we're the only one with this obscure 3-day situation. So excited to push the ball, I guess you could say, across the finish line, because once we get through Senate Bill 67, you're then going to see not only Sunday hunting, trespass reform, agricultural credentials on the commission. You're going to see this hunter access program. And then you're going to see beyond that, you're then going to see, let's see here, you're going to see ag biosecurity. So there's a lot that has to be addressed there, which will then involve trespass reform as a whole under Title 18, 30, and 34. Ag biosecurity, I'm sure everybody's been kind of following that with avian influenza and different, diseases that are being transmitted at some of these by migratory birds. So then you get into discussions definitely over ag biosecurity as a whole, because this directly impacts your food on the kitchen table. And additionally, it really gets involved with trespass, because you do not want some sick animal, a dog, doesn't really matter, person going in and having contact with animals that are ultimately going to be a direct food source. And if one of those animals gets sick, it can immediately spread to, depending on the situation, it could be thousands and thousands of animals that have to be put down. Clearly, there's examples of this directly across the nation when you even look at the chickens and how egg prices and poultry prices have skyrocketed. Avian influenza is a real thing. It's not a joke. It'll directly have an absolute direct impact to your grocery bills. And let's not forget, grocery bills then equate to dinner bills, going out to dinner, or if you go to a restaurant, it's then going to just jack everything else up. So there are direct and indirect impacts when you talk about ag biosecurity, but this is something on the future. Clearly, we're going to stay diligent this upcoming year when it comes to DMAP, when it comes to the ag tags, because that's a regulatory issue and those things can be addressed internally. Ag biosecurity, that'll be a legislative matter. And I'm really excited about that also because, we need to address trespass uniformly. I'm really happy that Senate Bill 67's taken a bite of the apple, but we need to eat the entire apple. And the entire apple is going to require reforms of Title 18 to beef up and penalize for trespass. It's going to require overlap with Title 30, 34, 18. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. But it's very critical that we have uniform reforms when it comes to trespass amongst all these titles. So that way, whether it's the police, Fish Commission, DCNR, Game Commission, park rangers, etc., that there's going to be the ability to better manage trespass. And it's so imperative because we forget that trespassing can directly and indirectly impact not only the health of livestock, but also the price that you pay at a grocery store or at a restaurant. And then beyond that, I want to acknowledge the fact that Fayette County Farm Bureau is going to be hosting an event March the 15th. It's going to be at 9 a.m. and it's going to be at the Fiddler's Building. The Fiddler's Building is located at the Fayette County Fairgrounds. It's a collaborative effort between the Fayette County Commissioners, Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. The president is Chris Hoffman, and the Pennsylvania Game Commission, Steve Smith, the executive director. He will be participating. And there's going to be an open discussion regarding crop damage, regarding the proposed changes, things that need to be changed, and I'm looking forward to it because I think, I think it's very critical that that we have these discussions, that we get people's input, that we have transparency, and that people, people's livelihoods are being impacted by these programs. I don't want to sell this short by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of pleasure. There's a lot of, obviously, enjoyment when it comes to hunting, but you have to realize something. When it comes to wildlife management, there are a lot of people that this is directly impacting their bottom line, and in some capacities causing bankruptcy issues. That's fact. That happened right here in Fayette County, Pennsylvania. So as we move through this, I hope everybody will be open-minded, will be considerate. We'll look at things with an extremely open mind because, again, the definition of insanity is doing the same things and expecting a different result. And when we come to wildlife management, we have to change course. We have to look at things differently. We have to be open-minded. Next week, I'm going to have some folks on from Washington County, and I'm going to have the Fayette County Farm Bureau President Daryl Becker, and we're going to dive into it's kind of going to be my follow-up discussion in detail with them about DMAP and about ag tags, their trials and tribulations, and perceived solutions to the problem at hand. But for now, I want to give a special thanks again to our sponsors, the Marion Outdoorsman Association, 2.5 miles of private fishing, 6 species of trout, trophy trout, some of the biggest trout in the Pennsylvania, and I would even say on the whole eastern United States. Upland bird hunting, 1,000-yard rifle range, the list goes on and on. Join today, MarionOutdoors.com. The Wild Acres Farm Fishing and Regulated Hunting Grounds, guided upland bird hunts, fishing trips, deer, turkey hunts, weddings, corporate events, family get-togethers, gatherings, parties. We'd love to have you. 10mileco.org or give us a call at 724-579-0924. Again, 10mileco.org, 724-579-0924. I'm Jason White. This is The Great Outdoors, and I'll see you all next week.